Tonight on Joy News Prime, 3 persons arrested in connection with attempts to destabilize the country by targeting the presidency, slapped with 5 charges, including conspiracy to manufacture arms and ammunition without lawful authority. The lawyer, however, insists his client is innocent.
It is a setup. And at the end of the day, we will be happy that let government come. What they said they have found in the Mansard, they found nothing. They were there twice.
Members of the larger community where government says some of the arms were retrieved are expressing shock about the development.
Man we know is a doctor, and he's a good man, also good related, sharing jokes in the area. He has a good character which we all know in that area.
An anatomic pathologist involved in determining the identity of the remains of the kidnapped Takade girls insists the team did a thorough job that will stand the test of time.
When we did the work, before even DNA results came, and looking at the age range, looking at the sexes, I was almost somehow certain that we were dealing with the skeletal remains of the missing girls.
Chiefs and people of Joma appealed to government to refurbish the only health facility in their community.
Give birth in the house and sometimes causes death. Either the mother will die or the child will die, or sometimes both of them do die.
In business,
UNIDO mandates Ghana to determine quality of cocoa beans to be exported from West Africa to the international markets.
Ms. Rola and Joy News Prime comes to you live from the Joy News studio at Kokomlimli here in Accra with digital address GA099-2539. Stay tuned in. Picked up by state security agencies on suspicion of engaging in an elaborate plot targeted at the presidency have been slapped with 5 charges. It includes conspiracy to manufacture arms and ammunition without lawful authority. Government, in a statement released on Monday, said a joint security operation on Friday led to the retrieval of several arms, explosive devices and ammunition from locations in Accra and Kpong, Bawaleshi near Dodoa. State prosecutors on Tuesday asked that the 3 be remanded into custody of the Bureau of National Investigations to enable investigations progress. There's more in the following report.
The 3 charged at the district court are Dr. Frederick Yao Makpam, Donya Kafui, a local weapon manufacturer, and Bright Alam Deborah Ofosu. The charges include conspiracy to commit crime, manufacture of arms and ammunition without lawful authority, conspiracy to commit crime, namely possession of explosive and firearms without lawful authority, manufacture of firearms without lawful authority, and manufacture of explosives and ammunition without lawful authority. Their pleas were not taken by the court. ASP Sylvester Asari asked that the accused persons be remanded into police custody to enable investigations to continue. Lawyers for the 3, however, opposed the application. The magistrate hearing the case, Rosemond Dodua Ejiri, said that the plea ought not be taken because some of the charges were beyond her jurisdiction. She relied on same reason to reject a request for bail. The lawyers of the 3 are meanwhile alleging their clients have been framed.
It is a setup. And at the end of the day, we will be happy that let government come. What they said they have found in the Mansard, they found nothing. They were there twice. I can tell you on authority. They found nothing in his house. But we've seen the list they are banding around that they found guns, they found all this. My clients have also admitted that, yes, he was in the hospital when the security agencies came. They went straight to where the generator is and brought a sack. And they said we found 5 pistols, pieces of pistols, cache over there. They have admitted that they found it, but as to the ownership, who put it there is another issue.
Hearing of the case continues on October 9.
Well, some residents of Alajuan and Accra suburb where the cache of arms and weapons were reportedly retrieved from the hospital say they remain shocked by the revelations about the facility. A combined security team which government says moved in after some more than 15 months of surveillance retrieved a number of arms and ammunition from the Citadel Hospital. Activities of a group plus the items uncovered, according to government, were part of a grand plot to carry out a plot to destabilize the country. Komla Dom visited the area and our reports.
A few days since a joint security operation in the hospital facility, you can see in your picture here at Alajo, where we understand a number of equipment and ammunition and weapons were retrieved from the property inside. We understand that some locally manufactured pistols, foreign pistols, smoke grenades, a knife, some magazines, as well as iPads, mobile phones, pen drives, and other voice recorders were retrieved from the property just behind us. Now, we've been interacting with some residents here about the operation that took place sometime on Friday morning, and they've been telling us about how scared they were when the deployments of the police and military stormed the premises to conduct that particular search, which led to the retrieval of the said items.
Military police for
On Friday morning, a number of military police officials stormed the premises. They went in and conducted a search. Before we knew it, they called for reinforcement.
all of a sudden, because doctor now are for respecting patients no show on all of a sudden
the numbers of security officials grew. They spent almost 2 to 3 hours in the facility. All we saw was that the vehicles pulled out of the premises.
Into one man you almost also have reinforcements. Soldier for military police for red where the real soldier were.
Left with the doctor and 2 other staff for face in the car. It came to us as a surprise because we knew he was a medical doctor and healthcare services were being offered in the facility.
Drugs, cocaine, bombs, and weapons. Weapons, okay, most in the two.
But none of us as individuals in this area has been to the hospital. All we see are luxury vehicles, SUVs, driving in and out of a facility.
Private for VH for inside.
For us, we've always thought it's a hospital for the big men alone. The ordinary people here do not seek healthcare there.
Okay, but who say I are for alcohol?
Normal hospital, you be too. So say normal hospital, you be too. Now be a but it always be no that to do no.
But munim obi a area here or wako hospital
No.
Maybe I don't want to call. No.
Normally, yes, V8, even GV, government cars, maybe.
It came to us as a surprise because we knew he was a medical doctor and healthcare services were being offered in the facility.
Since Friday, did they open the place? A man for best
CID any abandoned abandon. And the end, the rooms a car park no inside. I ain't to call and go there.
But so far, the cars be cars by search. I ran a cinema investigation at the Nomuguswa. But I guess and I could do to Ben.
So, and a Ghana association because of said the Hakuinti, only be
Some of the residents say they do not believe that the doctor in question has any links with criminality since they see him move in and out of this property on a daily basis without a fault.
Meanwhile, Assembly member for the Alajo electoral area, Ismail Hudu Hadman, is urging residents to remain calm as state institutions probe the matter. He says Dr. Frederick Yao McPalm was a good man, a professional whose medical exploits won the admiration of the locals.
Into the area to ascertain the facts on the ground. So those people who are selling things in front of the hospital, I interviewed them 1 to 2, and I find out that it's true that he was arrested. So after that, the people in the community came to me to find out if I know something, because they don't know actually what is going on. So I told the people to be patient. because the man we know is a doctor, and he's a good man, also good related, sharing jokes in the area. He has a good a character which we all know in that area. He favor a lot of people also in the area. So we cannot say anything which we don't know. But everyone should be patient. If you really, the man is kidnapped by force soldiers, by all means, the press will come out, and so that we all know what exactly is happening in the area. So we are patiently and waiting for outcome of the event till a press release came out from the Ministry of Information that came to the air. We all heard it, exactly what has happened. So that is the news which was broken to us.
Okay. Does it come to you as a surprise? Because you just mentioned that this is a man you know, he's a good man. I mean, you guys relate to him very well. So does it come to you as a surprise that he is being reported to have been involved in stockpiling arms, for example?
Yeah, it's a big surprise. I would say a big surprise, because we all know that the premises is hospital, and if you go in there you see that patients, some of them was admitted. The nurses are there working on them. Normal general hospital, which we all know, and it's a story building. So if there is some activities at the backyard, I don't think those in the main building will know.
Well, government's announcement of the seizure of arms and the arrest of some persons said to be planning to destabilize the country has been dismissed by many as a ruse by the ruling party. A number of experts who have spoken on the matter have also downplayed government's claim the suspects had what it takes to carry out any subversionist activity.
I don't think the government has provided sufficient evidence as to how many people have been influenced, radicalized, to join that group in order to carry out whatever the objectives of the group are. The other angle could be pure criminality. Indeed, that would have probably sold to many Ghanaians, given the context of criminality that we are all witnessing within the country. So if this gentleman and his group were merely acquiring weapons, selling them, manufacturing them, selling them to criminal individuals or some other individuals who are not certified by the CID to, acquire those weapons. Nevertheless, criminality could be one angle. The more serious angle, which is where the issue is this allegation or the allusion to a coup attempt, an attempt to destabilize the state or subvert the state. The evidence that the government has provided, to me, from a professional perspective, is not sufficient. I say that because the number of weapons and munitions that are listed in the statement probably will not be enough to even take a checkpoint. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
All right.
So, if indeed the statement says that the individuals were going to target certain infrastructure, obviously the Jubilee House, which is the seat of the government, could be one.
Out there on social media, people have been ridiculing government's claim with trending photos of all sorts of implements and a coup challenge. Information Minister Kojo Ponkrumah is however cautioning against the mockery of the efforts of the intelligence agencies.
The government is informed by state security agencies, including Defense Intelligence under the Ghana Armed Forces, the Bureau of National Investigations and the CID, that they have conducted a successful operation which has led to the arrest of some persons and the seizure of some arms, ammunition, and related items. And that this was occasioned by some surveillance they have conducted over the last 15 months, following a group of persons who have been, from the brief they give us, plotting to use unlawful force to seize the reins of power or to seize the reins of government and literally to overthrow the government. Some military persons have also been arrested, including at least one officer, and are being interrogated in connection with this enterprise. So the first thing they inform us of is that they have evidence of a conspiracy and a plot, a detailed one at that, an elaborate one at that. The second is that they inform us that these persons were not just plotting, but have moved a second step of gathering instruments or weapons and manufacturing some for purposes of this plot. And I think some of those, they inform us that they retrieved as part of their operation or their raid, which they conducted a few days ago.
Now, the admonition by the Information Minister has, however, done very little to quash the pessimism of those who are out there on social media and making a mockery of the whole thing. Right now, as it stands, the coup challenge is trending on #1, and you can see some of the images that have been splashed under the coup challenge, and there are several of them which we will be speaking or sharing with you much later on when we get to the interactive segment here on Joy News Prime. In other news, a coalition of civil societies against political vigilantism has handed government a 7-day ultimatum to withdraw its white paper issued on the Justice Short Commission report. The group says that white paper's rejection of key findings and recommendations could either embolden security operatives to assault citizens or urge citizens to take the law into their own hands. Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah on September 14 announced that a white paper has been issued on the Commission's work that assessed the bloody Ayawaso West Wuogon by-election. This was met with criticisms from security analysts in the opposition NDC. Amidst concerns, key recommendations were rejected. Chairman of the Coalition of Civil Societies Against Political Vigilantism, Mensa Thompson, says government got it wrong.
This, we also believe, could potentially embolden operatives and party groups to use more violence or excessive force on armed civilians during elections. This could also potentially cause civilians to also put their own safety in their hands during elections, and this could degenerate into violent confrontations or encounters that can undermine the security of this country. We are therefore calling on government to rescind its decision not to prosecute that operative. On compensations, we realized that government did not exhibit any sign of empathy or sensitivity towards the people who were injured during the violence. There was not a strong acceptance of the recommendations to pay reparations to the persons who were injured or lost their properties, except to say the matter would be referred to the appropriate quarters. We demand that in the coming days, government should come up with a compensation package and a clear procedure for compensating the affected victims to ensure that justice is served onto these individuals. Finally, we as CSOs are particularly not impressed with the general position of government on the report. We therefore give government a 1-week ultimatum to change its position on the report, accept the findings and recommendations of the report, come up with a roadmap for the thorough implementations of the recommendations, and to instill confidence in the security agencies and also into the public that at every point in time during the 2020 elections, the state will protect everyone equally in furtherance of the peace and stability of this country. Our ultimatum is 1 week, and after the 1-week ultimatum, we shall serve notice for further action.
An anatomic pathologist involved in establishing the identity of the remains of the 4 kidnapped Tarakadi girls says he stands by the quality of work done by him and his colleagues. The work of Dr. NSTJ of the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital and its colleague practitioners with the Ghana Police Service was crucial in determining whether the remains were those of the girls. Speaking on this week's edition of Ghana Police Watch, he explained they first had to assemble the bones that were retrieved into complete skeletal frames before the DNA samples could be taken for analysis.
At the end of the day, there were 4. Okay, 1 was separate and 3 were more like mixed. So we had to rearrange and sort them out. And at the end of the day, when that is done, in the whole mandate, as we set ourselves out to do, is to try to estimate the age ranges of each skeleton.
What did you find?
One of them, the youngest we had, was between age 15 and 16, and the oldest among the skeleton was between 21 and 22.
So you can only determine a range,
yes.
Usually?
Yeah.
You can't be specific?
No. Usually forensic anthropology, it is important that you're looking at the bones, doing measurements and trying to determine. And so one cannot be specific that this bone is 21 years. No, this is not carbon dating. It's using some techniques. So you're able to give a range. After determining there were human skulls, we determined the stature.
You talked about the ages.
Yeah, the human.
Estimated the ages.
That they were human beings. We determined their height. We also determined the sexes of the individuals. We determined the age range.
What did you find out from the sexes?
All four were females. That was very clear. And to be honest, that day when we did that work, I got a bit like depressed. I felt like, oh, okay. And adding that to the age range determination, I was a bit more scared that even though this is not supposed to be like, I don't have to be very emotional. I feel like, you know what, we are getting closer and
it affected
closer.
You in a way.
Yeah, certainly. I felt very sad on the fact that I was hoping we were getting to a point where we would say it's not the missing girls, and then we can still have hope. But when we did the work, before even DNA results came, and looking at the age range, looking at the sexes, I was almost somehow certain that we were dealing with the skeletal remains of the missing girls.
Renowned pathologist Professor Bedu Akosa is one of those who has criticized the work done by the police on the human remains. Dr. J. Haver maintains the work was meticulously done and satisfied all protocols.
On this, there is the need for different teams, and it's more like teamwork at every point in time. So, for instance, in the forensic lab, certainly they observe some standard operating procedures, and these standard operating procedures will usually address concerns of degeneration, concerns of room temperature. The police do have the competence to determine all things associated with this identification process.
One of the issues that Professor Bedu Akosa raised had to do with the fact that if the bones had been in that septic tank or cesspit, it probably would have been deteriorated and all that, and then it would make the quality of the sample if it deteriorates, it makes your work a lot more difficult. How do you explain it?
No, that part is to do with the laboratory work, and I would like to assure him that there are modern techniques which try to address degeneration of DNA. So if you're able to get just a few quality DNA in the material.
So that's the DNA part?
Yeah, that's the DNA part.
I want us to leave out the DNA part, since you're just focusing on pathology. So is there anything about the deterioration that affected your work?
No, for us, the bones. I mean, the bones were not deteriorated beyond recognition. So we employ different techniques to trying to associate them and others. So that didn't affect our work. I think his concern was with the DNA aspect, the quality of DNA that was extracted. Usually we have some methods that would help to address those issues.
The chiefs and people of Joma and nearby communities in the Gan West municipality have given government a 3-month ultimatum to refurbish and commission an abandoned chips compound in the area. Women in labor often have to be driven on bumpy roads to more established health facilities outside the municipality because of a lack of health facilities there. Joining us is Latif Idris, who has been speaking with members of the community and has come through with this report.
The photos, when you are going bang, 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 bang.
So you were forced to deliver before the time?
Yes.
And so you lost it?
Yeah, yes.
The chips compound in the community has been shut for over 2 years. Some women have died while being moved from the enclave to health facilities in Accra and nearby towns.
If we don't open the facility for them, they'll be forced to open and access the place because they can't leave the facility for them to die. Recently, somebody died in this community whilst the issue can be resolved. But then, because there's no health facility, the person had to be sent to Oduman, and the person died on the way.
That painful reality forced the Presby Church in the community to open up its premises for antenatal services. But after playing the benevolent role for the community over 2 years, the church said enough is enough, evicting staff of the Ghana Health Service and their clients.
But now, the church people are saying they have some programs every Wednesdays, even every day throughout the week. So we don't have any place of weighing again. So there is a man at the nurse house too. So he accepted us. In his house, there is no chairs. There is no even mat to sit on it. So if you go there, we just sit down and lay our case on the floor.
The ejection landed a heavy blow on expectant mothers who now had to travel on the convoluted road network in the area to access health care in either Oduman or Amasaman.
When you want to go to the clinic, imagine driving from here to Oduman, or you go to Vicolis. It's a long journey, or going to Amasaman, or asking you to go for different place together. Because of the condition of the road, you might get there late, which will cause a lot of problem to you.
Complications.
A lot. Some women lost their child during that period. Others who have infection.
Meanwhile, this CHIPS compound, which was completed some 2.5 years ago, has been left unattended to over the period. And weeds plus goats, as you see in the background, have taken over the facility. What the community, particularly expectant mothers, want is for authorities to commission and put the facility to use so they can at least attend antenatal in dignity and save their unborn children.
For them, the completion and commissioning of the facility will be priceless, considering the humiliation they've endured with their unborn children over the period. Elizabeth Deku is a mother of 2 who is expecting a third. She fears the stress she goes through following the eviction by the church and the absence of antenatal could affect the baby.
People give birth in the house and sometimes causes death. Either the mother will die or the child will die. Or sometimes both of them do die.
The sentiment shared by Elizabeth Deku resonates with the pregnant women in this area. 28-year-old Olivia is 6 months pregnant. She lost her first pregnancy in December last year, and she blames it on the absence of a health facility and the grueling journey she had to make on the pothole-riddled road network.
We don't have clinic here, and we have a lot of problem. The problem is that our road is not good. The potholes, when you are going bang, 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 and our car too in this road is not good because we don't have better roads, so we don't have better cars.
So you were forced to deliver before the time?
Yes.
And so you lost it?
Yeah, yes. And I spent a lot of money, not more money.
The nearest health facility is at Oduman and Awoshi, but community health nurses were posted to this densely populated area by the Ghana Health Service to work and serve Joma and other communities. But after close to 3 years of completion, the facility has been abandoned. The ceiling is fast removing and the nets used on the windows have worn out. The facility, which was intended to save human lives, has now become a safe haven for livestock.
I feel so sad.
About what?
About how the thing is, the facility there was not open. But we have a government that will help us. But I don't know the reason why that is still there.
Some expectant mothers and their newborn babies are already bearing the brunt of what residents describe as the Assembly's feet-dragging attitude towards commissioning of the facility.
It's not easy at all. It's not easy. Even as I'm talking now, my baby have a problem. Because before the car will reach there, it's not easy because of the bad, poor road.
You said the baby has a problem?
Yeah, because it's drink water. Because it gets long for me to reach it at the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah.
So your baby suffered a complication?
Yeah.
Imi un bile mo komeni ya fola we na problem. Le no no he wo mi panify. Minye ha baba kwe ha wo.
We are appealing to authorities to, as a matter of urgency, step in and make it operational. Healthcare has always been one of the foremost concerns of the United Nations. So SDG 3 is dedicated to delivering quality health and well-being. Point 1 on that goal projects to reduce the global maternal mortality ratio to less than 70 per 100,000 live births. Point 2 on the same goal seeks to end preventable deaths of newborns and children under 5 years of age, with all countries aiming to reduce neonatal mortality to as low as 12 per 1,000 live births and under 5 mortality to at least 25 per 1,000 live births by 2030. But achieving that goal would be tough, if not impossible, if the people are denied basic health care, like the people of Joma and adjoining communities have had to endure over the years. Health Directorate in the municipality declined to explain if it has come to their attention. Meanwhile, Joy News sources say the facility has not been operational because there has not been budgetary allocation for medical supplies needed to furnish the facility. Latif Idris, Joy News, Joman.
Interior Minister Ambrose Terry says opinion leaders and school authorities continue to complain about the use of illicit drugs by young people in their institutions. Addressing journalists after the inauguration of a consultative committee to combat the drug menace in schools, he stated President Akufo-Addo is concerned about the situation, hence the formation of the committee tasked to examine the abuse of the illicit drugs, and also submit proposals for combating it.
Concerns, because the way students behave sometimes, you just see them either they're quiet and reserved from there to explosion. And I can tell you that in my own constituency in Nandom, I went there and I was going around the schools, second cycle schools, presenting computers to them. And I was shocked. You could see somebody just gazing at you and you knew there was something wrong. So later that night, I asked the security guys to go on a scoop. And they arrested many people and confiscated tramol from them. And it became a thing. So these are things that reports, the intelligence institutions have reported, individuals have reported, chiefs have complained, teachers. And I believe that even you can tell me something about that. The first group of drugs are those that we've got laws against, like cannabis, cocaine, and what have you. But there are also others that are just a misapplication of otherwise useful medicines, like tramol and this codeine mixtures and what have you. And so, Mr. Excellency the President thought, look, this is a matter that must be tackled head on. And the way to do it is actually to make sure that we get stakeholders, people with expertise, to sit together, critically analyze the problem, and come out with proposals.
Executive Director of Child Rights International and member of the committee, Bright Apia, believes laxity in the rules and regulations of some schools allow the menace to thrive.
Most of the drugs are sold on over-counter, and then also the systems where children identify certain drugs and they feel that that's what they can use. And then also the regulations at the schools are also tightened to the extent that people use all kinds of things to get access to drugs and all that. But we want to go deeper to understand the issues properly. So we don't really want to speculate or make the assumption that these are the very causes, but we'd want to go deeper to investigate it and see the real cause of it so that we can make proper recommendations. We've been tasked by the minister to look at two things. First, to identify the sources and the increase of drug menace in the country, and then also to propose a solution and some recommendations in terms of how we want to deal with it. And this is because the government considered this drug menace in secondary school very serious. So for that matter, it became a cabinet concern for which the president himself gave directive that the Ministry of Interior must lead the process. So basically we are to assist to identify the causes and also make recommendation to government to see the way forward for addressing issues of drugs among the young people of this country.
Residents of South Dai in the Volta region on Tuesday burned tires and blocked major roads in Pava to protest the deplorable state of the district's road network. This was to impress on government the need to resume construction works on the Peki-Hohoi stretch, which serves as a major haulage for food and commodities and leads to several other roads. The demonstration, endorsed and supported by the opposition National Democratic Congress, follows a social media campaign, #FixVolta-Roads-Now. Fred Kwame-Asari's report read to you.
The furious demonstrators, mostly motorists, overpowered the police and touched ties they had laid at all three entry points to the district capital, Kweve. They chanted and held placards with inscriptions including "Fix abandoned Volta roads. The abandoned roads are killing us. Nanado, bring the contractors back to site," among others. The demonstration, which lasted for about 2 hours, halted vehicular movements. Joshua Edem Tete is convener of Fix Abandoned Volta Roads Group, organizers of the demonstration.
Yeah, we are demonstrating because of the bad nature of our roads, especially the Eastern Corridor Road. The road is in a bad state. If you look at the road, it will take you over so many hours to get to wherever you are going. Now, these roads have been awarded by the previous government. When there was a change of government, there was a contract auditing, so the roads were stopped. Now, it has been almost 2.5 years now. The contractors were not brought back to site. So we are calling on the government to bring back the contractors on site. The roads is affecting our economic activities, our social life. So we are begging the government so that they come on board and help us and bring the contractors on board.
The members of Parliament for South Dai and Afajatu South, Nelson Dafiamakpo and Angela Alowute, and some NDC Volta regional executives were spotted among the demonstrators. Some motorists and residents shared their frustration.
Our roads are bad, very, very, very bad. The president himself, he traveled from Accra to Hohoi, telling us that all his bodies were paining him just because of the road. So imagine we those who are Opel and Hyundai and other buses. You can just imagine what will happen to us. Are we not Ghanaians? We are also Ghanaians. If he is in V8, a whole V8, and he's telling us that his body is paining him, he should consider us as human beings because we put him there. He should just come and fix the road for us. We are not talking about any NDC or MPP. We are demonstrating as drivers. So we want Nana Akufo-Addo and his road minister to come and fix the road for us.
Residents in South Tong district are also preparing to embark on a similar demonstration on the deteriorating state of the Sogakope Bridge on Thursday. Fred Kwame-Asari's report for Joy News.
Former Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Eliasore, will on Saturday contest a new Patriotic Party parliamentary primary. He will contest alongside 4 other contestants. The Dafiama Busie Issa constituency was created in 2012 and has since been held by the opposition National Democratic Congress. Joy News Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam takes a closer look at the contest.
The surprise name among the 5 personalities that have been okayed by the new Patriotic Party MPP to contest Saturday's primary is Dr. Elias Kabina Ansori. Arguably, the 67-year-old former Director General of the Ghana Health Service is better known and has more national appeal than his fellow 4 contestants who are fit to be his sons. However, politics at the local level here sometimes is not decided by the chattering class. That surely could be the Waterloo of Dr. Eliasore and his bid to win the MPP Dafiama Bure Issa parliamentary primary. Despite his huge stature at the national level, it appears very people in the constituency knows his worth.
I am an old face. I am a voice people hear about. In actual fact, when I go around, they say, this is a Dr. Sorry. We didn't know. Oh, he is the one. And what I have been able to do nationally, and that has affected positively in my constituency, people are now seeing the face of the person who was behind it. And I have been voting here since 2012.
His strongest opposition is likely going to come from the Dafema Bure Isa District Chief Executive Nadi Imoru Sanda. The geodetic engineer, right from his assumption of office, pledged to work to give the district a facelift by improving all the road network and establish a district hospital for the area. At the moment, the district has one doctor that takes care of 74,000 people.
If you go to the district capital now, from Wogu to Issa, that road is tarred. If you go to the eastern corridor of the district, we're talking about from Gono to Bayiri towards Jimpense. Massive road construction is taking place there. In fact, when you go to all the sectors, you realize that there is great improvement. And so these tell you that anytime MPP is in power, there is massive development. And that is why I am contesting to be the MP.
39-year-old legal practitioner Abdul Mujib Isakele is joining the race for the second time. In 2015, he lost out to lawyer Luanga Bagonluri. He hopes to be second time lucky.
I have always had that burning desire to help my people. And the majority did not see the need to elect me. But what is refreshing is that with a desire in me, I have seen that preparedness in my people, that this time around, they will push me as a young person to go to Parliament, just so that together we can help ameliorate the suffering that has bedeviled us as a constituency.
Chartered accountant with the Security and Exchange Commission, Felix Na, and 41-year-old statistician with the Ghana Statistical Service, Kanyir D. Yakubu, are also in the race with the hope that they will find favor in the 272 delegates that will decide their fate. Their campaign may appear to be low-key, but don't get surprised if any of them is able to pull the chestnut from the blazing fire and declare the victor on Saturday. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam, Isa.
Alarmed by a worrying increase in the number of motorcycle accidents in the Sokoromampo municipality in the Ashanti region, the youth there have mounted a campaign. They are hoping the initiative will reverse the trend blamed on poor education and reckless flouting of road safety regulations. Nanea Jima joined the group on their first campaign and filed this report.
A youth leader, Mohammed Hafiz, puts weekly average number of accidents at 7. He speaks of Aswase, where lots of accidents have occurred.
Actually, I stay in Asokoromo. We've been seeing it day in, day out. Yes. First, I was even trying to ride this thing because of so many people are riding without this thing. What do you call it? DVLE licenses. Yes. So, and it causes a lot of accidents, actually.
Use of tricycles for commercial purposes, even though illegal, is on the rise. Besides what passengers see as convenience, they have become a source of income for the youth. Hudu Samsudin is a rider.
Even the whole day can work maybe 130 cities, or maybe 1-2. So removing the sales of the owner 50 cities, remaining the 50 cities you used to buy for, maybe you get 30 cities as your income.
In 2018, motorbikes and tricycles accounted for 13% of 2,030 accidents in Ashanti region. Municipal road engineer Anas Mohammed blames ignorance of and disregard for road signs for the accidents.
We have done the marking. We did the marking, I think, a year ago. But unfortunately, as it is, it's fading off. So within no time, we're also preparing to come on the road and remark it to improve the reflection. So it's an exercise that we are doing. As for the challenges, it's a general challenge of funds and all that. But once we make provision for those safety aspects of the road, and it is being done periodically.
The youth group, with sponsorship from No Business as Usual, an entrepreneurship hub, is educating riders on road safety. Shaibu Fusaini is training coordinator.
We would basically do road line marking exercise and educate road users on the importance of road line marking. If you see a zebra crossing as a driver, what do? as a pedestrian, if you see a zebra crossing, what are you supposed to do? So this is the main reason why we are here today, to get our trainees to educate them. They've already been taken through some form of training by the Road Safety Commission. So basically, that is what we are doing today.
Through the No Business as Usual hub, some zebra crossings are being painted to ensure safety of pedestrians. Nana Ojima reporting.
President Akufo education of the youth, warning the continent will continue to lag behind if the masses remain uneducated. Addressing students of the Rutgers University in New York, the president said the free senior high school program introduced by his administration aims to equip the youth to generate the needed skills to fit into the global space. He wants special attention paid to science and engineering programs.
We have identified the training of our human resource as the area to concentrate on in the journey of pulling ourselves out of poverty into prosperity. The emphasis is on education and skills training, and we're all agreed that that is the surest way to getting a skilled working population that can compete with the rest of the world. We've redefined basic education to include secondary education and made it free so that nobody loses out because of lack of money. We've also identified science, technical and vocational education as the areas in which to pay the greater attention and make substantial investment. That is not to say that we are ignoring the humanities, the liberal arts, for the goal of our educational system is to produce well-rounded citizens who can contribute to the advancement of our society and of its values for human progress. Unemployment is a serious problem facing all the countries on the continent, and it is the greatest source of insecurity. It is unemployment that fuels the harrowing track by Africa's youth across the Sahara and the Mediterranean Sea. It is not likely we'll ever get the respect we crave for as long as our young people are forced to subject themselves to such indignities rather than stay at home to build our economies. I believe we all now feel keenly the paradox of Africa having all the Earth's natural resources, and yet her peoples being among the poorest of the world. Indeed, 30% of the Earth's remaining minerals are in Africa.
The president is in the United States to participate in the annual United Nations Heads of State meeting to deliberate on global issues. He's expected to address the General Assembly on Thursday. But ahead of his speech, he received the 2019 Focus Humanitarian Award on behalf of the government and people of Ghana for the country's long-standing support for the foundation of orthopedics and complex spine. It is estimated that the injury results in an estimated 2,772 disability-adjusted life years per 100,000 people annually in Ghana. Receiving the award at a gala, President Akufo-Addo noted that orthopedic health conditions are severe among low and middle-income countries which are less resourced to provide adequate access to orthopedic care.
In Ghana, it is estimated that the injury results in an estimated 2,772 dailies per 100,000 people annually. That is why the work being undertaken by Focus in Ghana and the rest of Africa is very important and must be given the requisite support. For us in Ghana, we are proud that this life-saving medical organization, established some 20 years ago and responsible for 3,100 successful life-changing surgeries, was founded by a Ghanaian from Kumasi in the Ashanti region. Its president, Dr. Ohene Babwachi Ejei, a global icon in orthopedic surgery. Described by his peers as, quote, a true artist of the spine, unquote. The government believes that ensuring timely access to safe and quality orthopedic care can prevent disability and minimize health costs associated with delayed treatment. That is why government, to complement the work being done by the Focus Hospital in Accra, has established the Limb Fitting Center under the Ghana Health Service to provide orthopedic care for all Ghanaians. Our regional and district hospitals under the Ghana Health Service also support the LFC to provide holistic orthopedic care for all.
The Ghana Health Service says it has not confirmed any polio case at Ashamang despite claims by some persons in the municipality of a suspected polio outbreak there. Briefing the media on the next phase of the vaccination exercise in some parts of the country, Greater Accra Region Director of Health Services Charity Sapong said there was no need to panic.
The Ghana Health Service earlier this month launched a series of vaccination campaigns against polio in an effort to prevent the spread of the virus, especially in high-risk areas. The first phase, termed Round Zero, ensured children under 5 in all districts in Greater Accra were vaccinated between September 11 and 14. Polio vaccination campaign followed the confirmation of 3 cases of polio in July this year. The cases were detected in the northern, northeast and Greater Accra regions. Briefing the media on round 1 of the exercise, Greater Accra Regional Director of Health Services, Charity Sapon, appealed to parents to allow their children to take the vaccines.
We want to ensure total and effective protection of all our children. And like I told you, the vaccine is very safe. It's effective. It doesn't have any side effects. And as many times as we vaccinate our children, we also strengthen and boost their immune system and help them fight any polio infection. So it doesn't matter as many.
To take the vaccines, the second phase starts on Wednesday, the 25th, and ends on 28 September 2019, and will cover the Greater Accra, Northern, Northeast, Upper East, and Savannah regions. Madam Charity Sapon says every child must be given the vaccine again.
The round 1, which is going to start this Wednesday, that is 25th September, and we are finishing on 28th September. And it's going to cover every district, every community, everywhere where people are living in Greater Accra region. We are going to go there. And to make sure that we have access to the children, eligible children, and they are children under 5 years, that is 0 to 59 months. We are expecting that all these children are going to be vaccinated.
Millions of people joined in a worldwide youth-led climate strike, with many, including students, demonstrating. Some Ghanaians have also joined this movement, demanding urgent action on climate breakdown. On Friday, dozens of protesters, including students, petitioned the Environment Ministry, calling for action against climate change and declaring a climate emergency. The protesters holding placards with the inscription "Climate Justice, Power, People Power," "Climate Justice Now," "Youth Rise for Climate Justice," marched through the principal streets of Accra, demanding government takes urgent steps to tackle the climate crisis and prevent an environmental catastrophe. Here is what happened.
We want it now. We go. We go. Climate justice. Climate justice. Climate justice. Climate justice. Climate justice. Climate justice.
Because we are suffering too much. When you wake up in the afternoon, a lot of heat, and then the farmers too, when they go to fishing, they don't get fish. They come along with refuse. We don't understand. That's why we came here, because we need climate action now. That's why we came here.
What do you think government should be doing to ensure that our climate system is better?
Okay, the environmental protection and the agency, they have to put down laws and order. Like maybe if you put refuse in the sea, they will you'll be fined, or maybe you go to prison for some days.
We are here to strive for climate, and what we must do to, promote health in this country. We have to stop cutting down of trees, and fumes from factories must be stopped, and fumes from the industry must also be stopped.
Right, and I'm Israelite. Thank you very much for watching. You have a good night.